What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Round 3 GameDay Squad football show, brought to you by the GameDay Society. I'm joined by Zonald Basin again. Such a good face to see. Welcome back to the show. How you been?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on again.
You're always welcome. Tell me, how's your side been doing the last few weeks?
One good round, followed by one terrible round.
Yep.
But I'm sitting all right still for the overalls in the comps I'm playing. I think I'm top 25 in each of them.
Yeah, very nice. I feel like in the first few rounds, as long as you're sitting in that top, in fact, it probably doesn't. As long as you're not, scoring zeros, you probably it's not going to make that much difference where you're sitting early on. I'm
exactly.
pretty similar. I think I'm a couple of the comps I'm doing quite well in. Just through a few lucky picks, but other than that, it's just kind of sitting in that mid-tier area. But hopefully, this round will be different. Now,
it should be a pretty entertaining round with a lot of different variants and teams because of not necessarily too many easy fixtures.
Yeah, it's the last few weeks I've felt like probably you had a safe side you could have picked, and then it was just how risky you're willing to be. Whereas this round, it kind of feels a bit more like everyone's going to be picking different safe teams, probably, because there's so many good options. So it's going to be an interesting scoreboard at the end of the round, I reckon. So, firstly, welcome to everyone in the chat. As I'm sure a few of you probably know, there is a prize wheel at the end, which I'm sure a lot of you are here for. Some amazing prizes there, including Diamond Wood, some 9-player unique packs, plenty of other Bronze Haaland, which I really don't want to give up, so please don't take that. Even a month subscription to the Stat Lab, which is a very good data platform, if you haven't seen that, for GameDay Squad. But in order to enter, all you have to do is be active in the chat. So make sure you're asking questions, answering other people's questions, things like that. We've got Melissa there in the chat who's keeping track of everyone who's going to be commenting. Thank you. And at the end of our fixture review, so after we go through all of the games of the round, we're going to close the entries. We're going to create a list of who's been active, and then we are going to draw the prize. In fact, we're going to have 2 winners this week. So make sure you're active. You can only enter once. So as long as you're chatting, you'll get your entry, but just keep chatting. So looking back at the last 2 rounds, because I haven't had a proper chat to you about kind of what we've learned. What are your key take homes so far in terms of, I guess, getting ahead?
Yeah, so fixtures over like star players that hit home pretty hard last round. I've tended to stack my team a bit towards the better players in the first 2 weeks. Paid off in the first round, not so much last round. So I'm going more towards just picking who's playing the worst of teams. So that'd be the first thing. Within that too, the 1v1 matchups you want to consider. So players like Van Dijk coming up against a short striker, likely to win a lot of the aerial duels or other defensive statistics that work well in GameDay Squad. So making sure you take notice of those. Gakpo's another good example. He's quite a tall winger, so if he comes up against, say, another shorter, quicker fullback, he might win the physical battles there, and then you're sort of guaranteed a certain level of points without them having to impact with a goal or a clean sheet or an assist. And then speaking of clean sheets, I think the one position where it's sort of imperative is for keepers, just because of the lack of points on offer for them, unless they're in, say, a 50-50 game and they're pulling off heaps of saves to make up for some clean sheet.
Yeah, but sometimes that's still not even enough, really, because what the clean sheet is it 6 or 8 points, I think. So
I think it's 8 for keepers, 6 for defenders.
Yeah, so that's just a huge swing if you get it or not. We had pretty similar key take-home messages from the season, but one other thing that I've found is defenders are a lot more important than I kind of first thought. Like looking at the raw numbers, like the overall averages from last season, it was dominated by forwards and midfielders. But for the first 2 rounds, the top scorer has been a defender. So it's crucial to make sure you are picking good defenders, because good defenders will score you like 20 to 30 points, and bad defenders will score you negative points. So,
And they're goal scoring defenders, that's right, that have topped it the last 2 weeks.
That's right, yeah. So, yeah, goal scoring defenders, with double goal scoring defenders last week. So, yeah, that was huge.
And later on in the show, we've probably got a few names that fit that sort of mold that might be an option to consider this week.
Interesting. With your crystal ball, you've picked them out, have you?
Yeah.
Now, before we kind of get into the round, we're going to have to look at who's not going to be playing with us this week. So there's some very popular names that are injured or suspended / queries. So who have you been affected by, I guess, with injuries, and who are you like missing out on picking this week?
I guess the main ones are Saka for the extended period with a hamstring. I wasn't going to play him this week anyway, it's Liverpool, but he's been my go-to in the past 2 weeks. So him missing an extended period is going to impact my squads.
Yep.
Aït-Nouri as well. I managed to get him out of my lineup the night before the first game last week as a last-minute call, so that worked out pretty well. Gordon would have been playing for me this week if he didn't get suspended. I think he was quite like an easy pick with their fixture against Leeds. The good news about Palmer is Chelsea the first game tomorrow night. We actually get a decent lockout time of 9:30 for a Saturday night, so we get to see if he's named. Then just keep your eye on so he's not pulled out of the warm-up last minute again.
Do you think you would play him if he was named?
I don't think so. Fulham's I think people underestimate Fulham. United went there. I actually overestimated United a bit more against them by playing 3 of their players in last week's lineup, and they tend to have cagey matches against these types of teams. Liverpool, Chelsea, United, that sort of thing happened last season as well.
Yeah. And then the other one who I had maybe as an option was Shah as well in my back line, but he'll be missing likely with a concussion from last round. So that brings us to the round. And how are we already in round 3? Like it seems like the build up to this was massive, and now the weeks are just disappearing. Chelsea Fulham, like you said, early kickoff for us. What are you thinking? Who's on your radar?
A lot of people have been going towards João Pedro, which is good if Palmer doesn't play, because he should still take up that central attacking midfield role.
Yep.
He works pretty well on. So I'd still be happy to play him. I'm not at the moment, but I might change my mind when I see the lineup tomorrow. Good option if he does play there. Like I said, cagey affair with Fulham, so there might not be many goals in it. Yep. But I do think both teams might concede, so I wouldn't be going towards the defenders. I, on record, don't think the Chelsea backline or goalkeeper are that great, so I'm not really leaning towards touching any of them bar like Cucurella. Cucurella, because he has the attacking output.
Yeah. I tend to agree that Fulham are a tougher option than they seem. They've only conceded 1 score out of the 2 games over 13 points, which is compared to Chelsea, who've conceded 7 over 13 points. So it's just that kind of cagey type defense games don't and it was against United and decent opponents. So it's not like they're just easy run. I think they're a team that we're going to have to probably think about avoiding going forward. Yeah. Any Fulham options that you consider?
Robinson, if he's named, but coming back from injury, we're in the limited minutes last week, I believe. Probably not the best idea to go with. He might get subbed. You miss out on the potential clean sheet points. Anderson's all right if they can keep the clean, but like I said, I doubt it. So Iwobi is probably their best option, one of their best attacking players for assists and goals.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think, I wouldn't be playing any of the defenders or Leno, even though like may get a lot of opportunities. I just see probably Chelsea winning this. I think Chelsea might keep a clean sheet, but I don't think they'll score many.
One player that I did forget to mention is probably Enzo. This type of game could favour Enzo, where he could end up with an attacking contribution. He's probably going to like the cagey atmosphere of the game, and clean sheet points obviously don't impact midfielders, so nothing to be lost there if they do concede.
Yeah. What have you thought of his first 2 rounds, Enzo?
Like he came into the season as one of the leading like averages.
Scored 4.5 and 11.5 in his 2 games.
Yeah, so about up and down. Hopefully more up than down throughout the season. Like you don't really average as much as he did last season without having some consistency to your game.
Yeah. No, I agree. I probably will rest him. Well, not rest him, but I'll keep him out for a little bit till that form and maybe a bit more. The floor kind of raises a bit, and then get him back in. Got a question here. Thoughts on Gibbs White or Anderson this round?
So Forest, who do they have again? They've got quite an easy matchup on paper, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Is it
Let's have a look. Yeah, West Ham. So consistency wise, Anderson's always good because he does it on both sides. Like so he's consistently getting good points because of the scoring system. So you could pick him every week and you'd probably come out towards the end of the year with really good scores from him. Whereas it's probably the type of game where Gibbs White's ceiling is higher, could provide a couple of goals, could score some himself. So it wouldn't surprise me if Gibbs White was the better scorer.
Yeah, I liked his game last week just in terms of his flair. He seemed like he was kind of be more creative, probably get onto some assists, which maybe shouldn't be assists.
Yeah.
And probably weren't more work from the attacker than actually him, but still count as a stat. But another question here: where does Reece James fit this season?
Reece James, he's a tricky one because he's been played in both different roles, and I think he plays central defensive mid when Fernandes plays more attacking centrally. Going to happen a lot less this year because João Pedro exists, so I think he'll be more right back. Last season, Maresca said he didn't want him playing like every single game. So there'll be a lot of rotation. Him and Gusto are probably avoids for a while until James like consistently isn't injured.
And any temptation by Delap at all? Maybe not this fixture, but
I'd like to see him get some scoring form where he's like untouchable in the lineup before that happens.
Yeah, I did see somewhere that it looks like he might be on pens with Palmer out, but I don't know.
Potentially. João Pedro did take them for Brighton last year too.
Yeah.
So it could be either though.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth the risk with so many other attacking options. So game 2 of the round is United versus Burnley. Now, this one's probably going to be a very heavy game day squad fantasy relevant game.
Yeah.
That midfield line just looks very tasty, hey?
Yeah. So it's like, it just depends what United show up because I pointed out in my preview of the round that Dubravka could end up being like a quality pick because United might go hapless again up front and he makes a few good saves from like Acuna or from Mbeumo, gets those save points up, keeps a clean sheet and turns out to be one of the best scorers of the round.
United's only goal has been an own goal this season, hasn't it? So it's
exactly.
But they're giving keepers opportunity to get points. So if things don't turn around, you're right. It could be an excellent choice.
Yeah, exactly. Particularly with how many shots they had against Arsenal. So if that's the case and Dubravka makes saves, then but you would think at least one of these games they'll put together. So it could just as easily be like 5-0. Cunha could score a hat-trick, and Bramo a goal, Fernandes assist, and Diallo, if he plays, could get some sort of points from that. So you could just as easily pick the wrong player too. If Mount starts like it's predicted, then he could end up with a hat-trick, and then all the common players don't end up doing anything regardless of United winner.
Yeah. What have you made of Bruno so far this season?
good because even in that deeper central role, he racks up the defensive sort of statistics and points. So he's sort of like one of those players that, like Elliot Anderson, guaranteed he's going to get points every week. I think last week he was decent and he missed a penalty, so he had minus points for that.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that penalty miss is like a 13-point swing if he scores it, because you get the -4 for the missed penalty and then 9, I think, for the goal for midfielders. So that's like a massive swing, and he's still scoring well without those score involvement. So
he's pretty close to a lock every week, especially on pens.
100%. What about Sesko?
Pretty poor, albeit he hasn't had many opportunities, so you sort of give him the benefit of the doubt. Just not pickable until he shows that he can have those consistent performances.
Agreed. All right. So which matchup do you boys think is the best to target?
Newcastle and Leeds. If I would say if Gordon wasn't suspended, it's sort of like, because you sort of have to decide who's starting as their central striker and if anything else changes. As an example, so I'm leaning towards Byrne, I'm leaning towards Pope, and then would have been Gordon. You could do Bruno in there in midfield. Harvey Barnes, I think, is a good pick with Gordon out, particularly because they're going to need goals from somewhere. So him or Elanga, whoever you think is going to perform better. Jacob Ramsey would be an interesting one because he's probably going to start with Joelinton out. However, he's still in the game as Aston Villa. So unless you're going to do an emergency loophole, from my understanding of how it's been fixed and changed, where you start him as emergency, have a non-scoring player on field, and then he'll come in for him. But I think that's the only way to get someone into the lineup that is currently at another team in the game.
Yeah, that was my understanding as well, but it's very confusing, and I don't think I'm tempted. I'm going to be trying to do it.
That.
No. Another question. Does the United loss on Wednesday make you second guess playing United players? 100% it does.
Yes.
But
yes, in short, it does. I was panicking straight after the result.
Yeah, but in saying that, the players I'm looking at picking are still scoring well already in the games they've played. So I'm looking at Bruno and Buemo as well.
Yeah.
But what about Delict down back?
Delict's good because he's one of those bigger centre backs again.
Yeah.
Now, Foster's not the shortest, so that could impact it a bit where he's he doesn't get as many aerial duels or wins, albeit United are playing 3 centre backs against 1 striker. So I wouldn't surprise me if he gets a clean sheet if he's one of their leading scorers either.
Yeah, I think he's kind of snuck under the radar a little bit because he's gone 15.5 and 12.5, which are 2 decent scores in 2 games that they've
conceded in.
Yeah. So who knows? I'm not picking him, but he's definitely a viable option, I think. Is Dorgu playing for United?
Should do. Nothing that he's done that should take away his place in the lineup. I think he's competing with either Luke Shaw moving up the field or Leone. So I would say Dorgu's going to play. Nice. I wouldn't be confident in 90 minutes, though. I would only be confident in centre-backs for teams for 90 minutes from defenders. Yep. Unless you're captain.
Fair. Now, moving on to the next one, Sunderland and Brentford. Now, I know there's a player you're pretty hot on this game.
Yeah. This is going to be a big one for fantasy.
Yeah. Talk us through it. Who's on your radar?
So I don't know if many people have actually physically watched Brentford games this season. It's sort of like where you have to have seen it happen. But they're one of the teams that have moved to taking long throws anywhere around the 18-yard box or a bit further back. They've got Kayode, who plays on the right back spot, or as a right wing back in a back four formation. Hits the penalty spot every single time. Along with that, you got Collins and Van der Berg in defence, who are monsters in the air. Collins was one of the more leading goal scorers for defenders last year from memory, if not the highest. And it was pretty much from corners or headers. So taking that into account against a defence like Fulham, not Fulham, like Sunderland, I would say if they concede 2 to Burnley, they're probably going to concede multiple here. And I'd back Collins or Van der Bergen for a goal from these long throws or corner.
Yeah, that's great. And then do you get the assist for a throw if it's a throw?
Yes, I checked this the other day. You should do. Yeah, sweet. It should be assisted code as an option.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question then. Lovely. What about anyone else? Damsgaard.
Yeah. Dengo's another one, but he's in that spot where he hasn't been updated in the player pool, so he still plays for Bournemouth. Damsgaard's a really good one. He was really good in the averages last season for scoring. He basically does all their work in the lead up to goals or set pieces. I think he's on corners from both sides. So he's likely to be giving out the assists. He's got a good long shot in him. I'm pretty sure he scored last week, but it was ruled offside, maybe.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, is Keller a good choice this week? I think
should be. Yeah. And this is another reason I'm about to point out why Collins and Van der Berg are good options. Mayenda, from memory, is short or shorter, a decent shorter than Collins and Van der Berg. So I think they'll have a field day in the air. And I feel like it's pretty safe to back a clean sheet in here. If not, you've got the insurance of Collins, Van der Berg doing well in the air, accumulating aerial dual points, and potentially scoring from one of those long throws. Kelleher did pretty well at saves at Liverpool. I imagine if there's any trouble, he'll save them here and probably good for a clean sheet.
Yeah. And one other thing, Ballard is out for a few weeks, who might be in a few people's sides if you're sorting by average. So just keep an eye on that one and don't play him.
Yeah, for sure. Stu, I think Kelleher, I'm pretty sure he's in my top 5 for the week. If not, he'd be relatively close.
Yeah, I think he's just out of mine, but there's other good options as well. Yeah. But definitely a good playable option. Any Sunderland people tempting you there?
There's not a lot. Like Adingra's always threatening. Like he's shown that and been pretty decent since he was at Brighton. Xhaka, just because he's probably going to get some sort of defensive contribution points. He's good for a yellow card though, so that will bring those points down. So yeah, I wouldn't be picking any Sunderland players this week. I don't think it's a matchup for it.
Yeah, look, to be honest, there's not many weeks. I probably would be, but probably not this one. Definitely.
Yeah. Melissa says any teams to avoid players from this week. Sunderland, definitely one of them. I would probably say Leeds, West Ham, especially West Ham attackers. So I wouldn't pick Bowen. Surprisingly enough, I'm going to say Aston Villa too. They've been terrible against Crystal Palace. We'll get to that when we get to their matchup though.
Yeah. Well, Spurs versus Bournemouth. Now, Spurs have been looking pretty solid. It's good to see. I've got Richarlison in my side. I like the reassurance that they've said that he is the number one striker at the moment. Until
can play wing too if he needs to.
Yeah, so I rate him. I know you're on Sarr pretty hard this week.
Yeah. Different Sarr though. Like this Sarr's this Sarr's fine. Like he's been performing like I figured he would in this central attacking role. I just didn't know if he'd be picked every week in there.
No, you're right.
But the other Sarr, definitely when we get to him, he's got a few reasons why as well.
Yeah. Now, one player I'm pretty keen on this week is Vicario in goals. Just purely through consistency. Like he's gone, 19.25 in both games, which are like, against decent opponents as well. Nothing too fancy, but it's just those scores that he's putting on the board. The only thing that does worry me is Bournemouth goal threat.
Yeah, but could work in their favour. So arguably the best defence so far versus one of the better attacks. Semenyo does have shots on target not leading to goals in him. He did that quite frequently last season. So there'd be save points for Vicario there. Albeit he's looked a lot better in front of goal this season. I still think he's a decent pick. Raya was, the number one keeper week 1 in a 50-50 game against United, arguably 50-50 at the time. Second round, Pickford was the best in probably just under 50-50 game against Brighton. So seems to be a trend for these 50-50 games for one of the keepers to do well.
Yeah. No. And yeah, Porro.
He's a 90-minute man too. He's one of the fullbacks that tends to play 90. So I don't think that's an issue with it. I would just prefer to pick Romero or Van der Ven because they're probably going to dominate Evan Nilsson in the air a bit. So you can sort of bank some points from other things, whereas Porro is going to need to hit one of his assists or goals from his set pieces.
He's gone 16.5 and 14.25 in the last 2. So
yeah, I'm just worried about that clean sheet. So I'd feel Pedro is probably the better pick if you want to go a bit risky, but the safer pick, given they'll beat Evan Nilsson in the air, or they should, is Van der Ven and Romero, in my opinion.
Yeah. Brentford defense is a bit leaky at times, don't you think?
Yeah, but opponent is a lot, I'd say, worse this week, especially if you look at those 1v1 matchups, like Mayenda versus those two central centre-backs. You're probably getting at least some aerial duel points and other defensive points. So regardless of if they concede, they're probably still going to bank points from that. And like I said, a chance of a goal from those long throws against one of the weaker teams.
Now, one of the higher averaging midfielders at the moment is Kudos. What do you think? Is he an option? Maybe not this matchup?
So I like the Spurs attackers. I just don't like Kudos up against arguably their best defender in Trafford. He was pretty good against Salah in week 1. Didn't do much wrong last week. So I sort of feel like it's best to avoid any direct matchups with him.
Yeah.
That's why I prefer Johnson.
He's definitely like in there for assists. Hey, like I don't see him getting in on goal, but he's, I think his expected goals was very low, but his assists was pretty high. So I think his first score was probably maybe more of a anomaly.
Matchup game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I won't be. But what about the Bournemouth players, Semenyo and Taverner?
Yeah, so two pretty informed players. Semenyo sticks to what he's doing and actually putting away his chances, then he's going to pay off more than he's not, in my opinion. He's one of those players that is probably going to get a big move somewhere eventually. Just doesn't look like it's this season. Tavernier's been good because he has been racking up some defensive points as well in his more centralised attacking role. Clivert is a chance of taking that role back off of him, and then he moves wide for Brooks. Could still impact on those areas, though. So I like him as one of those solid picks that's probably going to get you points either way.
Yeah. And what about the back line for Bournemouth? I don't really see anyone there, and not in this matchup, but going forward, is there anyone that you would consider from Bournemouth down back?
Trafford has been on my radar. He was really good last week. I think he scored 15 points from memory. So in games they keep clean sheets, I'd be looking at him. Both the centre-backs, particularly Senesi, not a towering defender, so probably not going to get you those extra points from stuff like aerial duels. So yeah, probably one of their fullbacks, especially if Trafford's continue to play full games.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Wolves and Everton. Now, Wolves are one of the two sides, I think, who haven't scored.
Yeah.
Yep.
This
And
game looks a bit more interesting this week after the results last week.
yeah. Yeah. So, one person I'm super excited about in this game is Jack Grealish. He looked like he was having fun,
Yeah,
which
they just kept passing the ball to.
yeah. And then like that just he's kind of gone back to that form that he was in before he kind of had all the pressure on him on City.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
have Pep telling him to go backwards, pass the ball, not go at players.
yeah. So yeah, he's one that I definitely have on my radar if I can manage to get a good enough card to play.
Yeah.
What about you? The defense keeper for Everton seem like it's pretty much a lock. This
Yeah,
game for a clean
lots of good
sheet.
options. The only thing that worries me is Everton do have a bad history against Wolves at Wolves. Like they I don't think they've kept many clean sheets there.
Okay.
Albeit Pickford's still good for saves, so he can still get a good score without a clean sheet or a half decent one.
Do you see Wolves scoring a goal though at all?
Not with the attack. They've got like Strand Larsen's good and all, but the matchup isn't great against Tarkovsky. I'd probably back him in. It might mean Tarkovsky's points are lowered a bit to usual because he's got those aerial duels with Larsen, but I'm leaning towards a lot of Everton players in this, like Pickford, Tarkovsky, Ndia,
What about Keane?
Grealish.
I have a Keane legend, and I just can't justify playing him. But
he does more on the ground than Tarkovsky does, and Tarkovsky does more in the air than he does.
Yeah,
Mikolenko's another good one. Like
Yeah.
back from injury though, so probably not worth risking because he's probably not going to play a full game.
Yeah. Now, are there any Wolves players out there that I don't think so.
I wouldn't back their defense against this Everton team. Their new wing backs all right. Andre, because he can win some like defensive points. Strand Larsen would have to score, which I don't think is going to happen.
Yeah, I think just that Everton backline and maybe Grealish for me. Yeah, that's about it.
A few questions over there. Adam, I'd go for probably Romero because he's captain, so more likely to play the whole game out of the two if they rest one for Danzo. Timo on Palmer, we get to see the lineup before lockout and like into it. So if he's named and then has another late injury, we'll get to see that. Most people will be up at about 9:30 as well. Ait Nouri's apparently wasn't that serious for the ankle, albeit Vardiol might be back. So he's a chance to play left back and they might rest Ait Nouri. I wouldn't pick either, to be honest.
Yeah, no, same. I think like he's listed as a expected start at Nui, but if it is a start, it probably won't be a full game.
Yeah,
it's probably a no from me. All right. So after Wolves, Everton, Leeds, Newcastle. This is another fixture that we probably should be targeting, albeit minus one player who we probably want. Talk us through your thoughts.
Yeah, well, when I was looking at the fixture to begin the year, I looked over the first few rounds. Gordon was pretty much penciled in, so I got some of his cards for this specific game.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's out for 3 weeks. So all it does is really open up the options to other players. Alanga's a forward in game, good option as a like for like. He's looked pretty decent, just hasn't been able to finish very well through the season so far. Barnes was really good last year in the limited minutes he played. More of a role this season without a recognised striker, so Gordon shifts in. He plays Gordon's best role. So I'd probably back in one of those two. I think Barnes is a midfielder in game, so you could pop him there.
Yeah, he is.
Bruno I like better in matches where he's going to have to defend a bit more against better teams. So you could pick him and he'd be fine. It doesn't get clean sheet points as a midfielder, so that's why I'm not picking him.
Yep.
And then you've got Burn in centre back. Livramento, I'd go for over Trippier. Trippier tends to be subbed a bit more.
Yeah. Livramento is one that I have on my radar.
Pope, I think, is like a must this week. What you can do as well is I'm personally a bit worried that Ramsdale eventually takes over from Pope because he's signed for a reason. So with the emergency system back online now, how it should work, if Pope is out, just have an emergency backup keeper who's definitely going to play, and then worst case Pope doesn't play, that emergency steps in.
Yeah, or even just put Ramsdale as your emergency, and then just one of them's going to play. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Newcastle centre backs haven't been that rotatey. Shah got subbed off last week, so he didn't get the 490. Burn, I think, is pretty sure on until Botman's back. And like Gannis says, I like him as well this week. I think the matchup up front against Perot or Nemeka, it's probably too early for their new signing. He's probably going to win a lot of aerial battles in those.
Yeah. So these lineups that we're showing are just the predicted lineups from Fantasy Football Scout. So it's a website that we use to kind of just gauge. They're still guessing, so
they're pretty good with the logic too. So they'll update it. They'll say who's in and out, who's definitely out, who might be playing. There's a few things they've gotten wrong, and a few obvious ones too. Like you'll see and be like, oh, why haven't they got that person there? And then so
yeah, I think they had Edison as the keeper for round 1.
Yeah,
got a lot of people. Pickford equals Lockford. Yep, I think that's beautiful. Now Leeds. Anybody there? I don't think so, but
no. Actually, Stack has, I read today, the most. I think it was chances created this season. So he's one to consider if he's going to put that out in a team like Leeds. Albeit they're not going to get that many chances every week if they are considered and going to be one of the poorer teams in the league. Ao Tanaka, I think, is going to be out this week, I read today.
Okay.
So apart from that, their fullbacks are pretty decent. But yeah, I wouldn't be going anywhere near any of them this week.
No, I'm big on Barnes this week and Livramento as well, and Pope. But other than that, I don't think much else. Brighton versus City. So we had a question about the City backline earlier. Any guesses on what's going to happen with Pep Roulette?
Yeah, I sure do. Just quickly, Mian, Tonali is out injured. He got subbed off last week, so pretty certain he's not playing either. This Jolinton. There's a lot. I think Trafford's going to start instead of Edison.
Really? Even after last week?
Yeah, I think Edison's pretty close to a transfer, so I don't think they're going to do anything to that. They're going to get Donnarumma signed. It's going to piss Trafford off.
What about Ortega? Would he?
Potentially. I feel like if they think they're getting Donnarumma in the next couple of weeks, they'll just say, okay, well, let's keep Trafford happy for a few weeks, and then he can compete with Donnarumma, which he'll inevitably probably lose.
Yep.
But yeah, so I reckon Trafford there. 8 Nuri might start, but I think he'll either get subbed off for Vardiol or Vardiol start and get subbed off 8 Nuri.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a trap this week for.
Yeah, albeit you could have a big week and then people do pick him luck out. Yeah. Rangers, I think, will play and start. I think that week 1 was too good to all of a sudden drop him. I do think Roger will be in here instead of Gonzalez.
What about Foden? Came on last week.
Looked good as well.
Looked good. A little bit of a knock, but I think he was okay.
Pep loves Doku in certain matchups. So who would Doku be up against? Weaver. Weaver's pretty good defensively, so I'd argue you'd go for Foden instead. So I'd go Foden will pretty much replace Marmoush from last week. Man, I wouldn't be playing Rico Lewis. He's I think he started both first games, but he's every chance, like most City players, to be rotated out. Like, you could play him and he could do really well, or you could not play him and same thing happens, but I wouldn't be on anywhere near a player like Rico Lewis.
Yeah, I think Haaland is probably the only player in that City side at the moment that I'd be confident will be on that team sheet.
For sure.
Yeah. Like, Bernardo Silva's looked pretty stable, but don't know if playing him. Yeah. Brighton, anyone there that you're interested in?
Brighton annoyed me last week because not only did O'Reilly miss a one-on-one with Pickford after he rounded him, but Welbeck decided to take the penalty and then miss it after O'Reilly scored the penalty in week 1, albeit it was because Ruta was out. I think Ruta, if he's back fit, he'll start again this week. Welbeck wasn't anything great last week, which means O'Reilly should be back on pens, but who knows? So if he is, he's going to be a half-decent pick. Could score against City, does pretty good things attacking-wise, setting up plays, key passes, which are worth 2 points. So I think from them, any of their like Minte, O'Reilly, Matoma are decent picks every week because they could score.
Yeah, no, agreed. Rodri, a good play? I don't think so this week, just because there's a question on minutes still, and also how he will actually score. Because I think he's one of those players who conventionally hasn't scored well in fantasy, but I think he will score a lot better.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, I agree with you. A couple of weeks, let him settle into the lineup. He's one that when he's playing will probably, after he's fully fit in like weeks from now, will play 90 full minutes.
And he'll be a lock every week as well, I'd say. So
yeah,
once he's settled, definitely a play. But I think for now, I think there's too much downside.
Yeah,
that one. All right, Forest versus West Ham. This is another fantasy-friendly matchup for us, I think. I like Wood.
I reckon a lot of people have Wood.
But yeah, I think that's probably I think he's probably my number one striker for this week.
I like a lot from this game, albeit Forest have been signed a lot of attacking players, so there's every chance they rotate. But Wood's been good early season, and Ndoye's been really good at early season. Hudson-Odoi, I think, scored last week or assisted, one of the two.
Yeah. Yep.
Gibbs-White, really good, probably not going to be dropped. So it's hard to see any of him not starting the game. So I would say you're pretty safe to pick any of those front four, and I think any of those front four could be good picks. Hudson-Odoi has a pretty decent record against West Ham. I think he's scored like 2 goals in the past 3 or 4 games against them. I like Ndoye the most because of what he's done in the opening 2 rounds.
Yeah, but he did look really good last week.
He very much did. But I think any of those 4 picks are fine. You could probably go, if you're looking for most obvious, Wood. If you're looking for biggest unique, Hudson-Odoi, and then Gibbs-White and Ndoye probably in the middle.
Yeah. No, and what about that back line? Probably looking at keeping a clean sheet?
Yeah. If that supposed lineup for West Ham happens, even more so, because Milenkovic and Murillo will win an aerial battles against those two easily. If Fulkrug starts, less so. He's a bit better in the air. But, I'd be pretty confident in playing those 2 centre-backs or one of them. Remember not to play Williams.
I was just about to say, at the moment, there is a bug with the 2 Williams not linking properly, so just don't play anyone with the name Williams until that's sorted out. And Sells in goals.
Sells, I think, is my number 1 keeper this week from memory. We'll check our ranks in a few slides, but he cost me last week a bit with his yellow card antics, and the thing I think's a bit different this year is last season he was making unbelievable saves to keep the clean sheet, whereas so far he's not made those unbelievable saves, which you probably shouldn't. So this game I'm perfectly fine with it. Bowen's a bit of an issue, like he could score, but aside from that, I'm pretty happy to pick him.
Yeah. And I think there's a question: could you play Williams as an emergency to try and kind of loop him in? I think the issue is that with the stat provider, it's not linked, so I don't think that will work. So
Yeah,
just stay away.
exactly. It's a bit of a different issue. Like the issue with Ramsey and Dengo, as two examples, is that they just haven't had their team changed. Whereas the issue with the Williams is Reece Williams is showing up as Neco Williams. And I imagine the vice versa is the case, but Reece Williams doesn't play for Liverpool in their lineup, so we can't tell. And yeah, with that going on, it wouldn't be the exact same thing to do.
Yeah, is this match going to feature the most hyphenated surnames in EPL history? I think you might be onto something there.
Yeah, true.
Now, into the next match. God, wow, this is a big game. Liverpool versus Arsenal. This one scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, because I've been pretty reliant on Van Dijk, and you can be. This is one of those games where you pretty much don't want to be. He's up against another tall striker, and he's like, I don't think there's been a clean sheet in the Liverpool versus Arsenal game for quite a while. So I'm thinking to avoid most players in this game. I doubt there's going to be a clean sheet. So I'd stay away from the keepers. Stay away from the defenders. Salah has a good history. I think it's like 3 goals in the past 4 against Arsenal at Anfield. So Salah, I think you can go with. I think there might be better options, but like he's one of those ones that's been pick him every week regardless, and most weeks he'll do well. So he might be one to stay with. Gakpo's... go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to ask you about Gakpo. He's one of the top scorers, if not the top scorer in the comp so far.
I was big on him in round 1. Took him out last week, which was a mistake.
Yeah, so 29.5 and then 20 in round 2. So 2 great scores. Is that something that can keep happening? Especially tougher games?
I think so. Not this matchup, though. It's one of those games where, from memory, he's come up against opponents in 1v1s that favour him. So not only has he impacted scoring or assistant-wise, but he's been winning aerial duels, other attributes that lead to more game day squad points. This matchup with Yuri and Timber is more going to be, he's probably going to lose some of those 50-50s he's been winning. Yuri and Timber's quite tall for a fullback, same with Calafiori on the other side. So I would not be picking Gakpo. I'd be favouring Salah this week of the two.
Yeah, and what about Wirtz? What have you made of him so far?
Needs a bit of time from the looks of it to establish himself. I think he's lucky that McAllister's not fully fit, because I feel like Sosbola would have been there. McAllister, where Sosbola is on this lineup, and Wirtz from the bench. It'd be interesting when he has to play wide, if he gets shifted out there. I'd like to see what he can do from a wide perspective in terms of his dribbling. Yeah.
No, and so you mentioned the Arsenal fullbacks. So half of their goals have been scored by those two this season.
Yeah.
Which is pretty...
You know why?
Why?
Because they are set-piece merchants. That's probably a bit harsh. They are quite good at corners, quite good at set pieces. If you'd notice, they've got quite a few tall players. Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, Calafiori, Rice, Yorikis. So it's like, I was having a conversation with a mate today about us defending corners. Liverpool supporters, that's why. Let's just match people up. So you go Gabriel with Van Dijk. Kanate goes to Saliba. Ekatike goes to Calafiori. And then Gakpo probably goes to Timber. Then Gravenberch at a stretch goes to Rice. Even then, you're probably going to have a few difficulties. So I think teams focus a lot on Gabriel and Saliba, rightfully so, after Gabriel scored a fair few times last season from corners, which has meant tall guys and Timber and Calafiori get short people and they score. So only reason I don't like to pick them is they're not nailed on every week because Ben White exists and Lewis Skelly.
What about Gakpo? Is he a lock every week?
Yeah, Rio's his backup, unless we sign someone late. But Rio, if he hits some hot form, like maybe it's a start and then plays really well, scores a couple of goals, he might stay in for a few rounds. But Gakpo's not given any reason to drop him.
Yeah. No, so I got a question coming in. If you could only play one of Gibbs White or Grealish, is it and why? For me, Grealish, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
Just match up. Well, I mean, Gibbs White matchup's great as well, but he just looked great. And I just want to play him so I could watch him. That's one of the main reasons.
Grealish looks more as though he'll initiate the attacks, so they go to him a lot. So I'd say if usage rate is a thing, his usage rate is a lot higher than Gibbs White, given Forest's attacking options.
No, fair. Do we fade all players? I assume you mean in this game. For me, I have faded all players bar Salah, just because I think he could be a game opening kind of player.
I don't have any in the lineups at the moment. Salah, you can go with. Van Dijk, you can probably go with. Although I don't really like the pick this week, like I said. Pick one of the Arsenal defenders in case of a corner goal, but I'd rather just go for a centre defender that's gonna have a chance of a clean sheet.
Yeah, tip for Liverpool, Arsenal. How many goals per team? What's your prediction? I know you are a Liverpool fan, so this might be a tricky question to answer.
Anfield, we tend to do better at. I don't think Arsenal haven't beaten us at Anfield in like last 6 games. I would say 1-1. Arsenal take the lead off probably a set piece, and then they defend for a good portion of the game and we score late. Well, I think we've lost you, Mark, or it might be me.
Sorry, no, that's me. Yeah. I muted while I drank. I agree. I think it'll be a draw, but I think 2-2 maybe, and I think there'll be a stoppage time late goal.
Yeah,
it will be exciting. What time is this game on actually?
1:30 a.m. Monday morning. Not the worst, but if you work Monday, it's a bit of a howler.
Probably good if you have a young baby, hey?
Yeah, for sure. So Mel, instead of Van Dijk, I'll let you know my current lineups. I've got, let me just bring him up. It's one of the Nottingham Forest centre backs. I think it is Milinkovic I've gone for. I have Dan Burn, James Tarkowski, Daniel Munoz, and Nathan Collins.
Good shout. Got some predictions coming in. 1-1, 3-2 Liverpool. Be happy with that?
Yep, for sure.
All right. Moving on to
final game.
Yeah, final game. Villa, Crystal Palace. I watched Crystal Palace last week. Was a bit disappointed.
Good news is they're very good against Villa. They've scored 16 goals in the past 5 games against them.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, so Sar's got 5 and 3 because he didn't play. He's only played the last 3 against them, and that's 5 goals.
So this is the Sar you're
this is the Sar I'm really keen on. So anybody that's watching that didn't know that, I would pick Sar this week. Eze's not a thing either, so either his usage rate's going to go up and he's even more likely in back, or because Eze's not there helping out, he might struggle. So that's one of the reasons maybe not to pick him. The other one is...
Sorry, jumping back to Arsenal, when will Eze start?
I think Madueke will start this week, so I think Eze will start from the bench.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he'll be used while Saka's out, though.
Yeah, sweet. Cool. Sorry. Back to this
game. The other one's Mateta. So Mateta's got 7 goal contributions in the past 5 games against Aston Villa. So they're 2 of the main reasons they've kicked so many goals against them. Whereas on the flip side of things, Aston Villa haven't scored in the past 2 games against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace looked pretty good defensively this season. And another reason, if you wanted one not to pick Watkins, is I heard in commentary last game they played that Watkins hasn't scored in August since like years on years ago.
Yeah, right. I feel like Watkins must be due soon though. Like I know
Yeah.
that's not a good reason to pick someone, but it just feels like
So
like
he
Aston
looked really
Villa.
good in game one. I'm pretty sure he scored half decently in GameDay squad without actually scoring a goal. That's why I picked him last week along with a good fixture. Last week, though, he looked shocking because he didn't have any supply. So I think it's just a matter of Rogers, Mallon, their lineup up there getting settled and actually getting legs behind them because Rogers had a few issues preseason.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's not him that's the reason that he's not scoring.
Yeah.
It's the kind of the setup and the system.
Well,
Yeah, that Crystal Palace backline. Do you think they'll keep a clean sheet?
yes, I reckon they will.
Okay. And who? Obviously, there's most of those guys are pickable defenders.
Yeah.
Who's your
Lacroix,
number one? Yeah.
Mitchell, where he it just depends because Liverpool are apparently going to put a bid in for him. So if that comes before the weekend, he might be out of the lineup. So I wouldn't pick him based on he could be in or out, which, funnily enough, then means if he's not playing, Palace defenders and keeper are less pickable because without him, it's probably going to be no clean sheet. Hence why I haven't picked any Palace defenders because just the risk of him not playing.
Yep. No, fair. I had Mitchell last week, and I don't know if you saw, but he got the stupidest yellow card for time wasting when, it was the ref was just on a mission.
Yeah, card whoever he wants.
Yep. So that wraps up the games for the week. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you quickly jump in the comments because that enables you to be in the wheel spin at the end. But we'll wrap that up now. We'll jump into our top 5 rankings for each position. Now that I look at this table, it hurts my eyes, so I'm sorry about that. But we can quickly talk through it. In terms of keepers, I've gone Vicario as my number one keeper.
Yeah.
Which is probably based more on consistency as opposed to the matchup, but I still think he's a solid option. You've gone Pope as your number one. I think we've talked about that already.
Yeah.
But going down the list, it's pretty similar, I guess. Well, actually, no, it's not for the keepers. We've kind of gone different ends.
Here or there, a few similar picks.
I think it kind of shows that there's a lot of good options. It looks like there's a lot of clean sheet potentials this round.
Yeah.
So
my reason for Allison is I think he's more likely than Raya to get a clean sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll concede probably more shots than they will. So he could be in for a big one if we do keep it clean. Vicario is good. I didn't have him in my 5, but given how 50-50 games the keepers have performed for either team, he could be the one that does really well.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And the back line, Collins is your number one. I didn't have him in there, but that doesn't mean he's not a star pick, and I probably will pick him after our chat today. I like Tarkowski as my number one. I know
very solid.
Yeah, the only I guess red flag that you've now put him at the back of my head is the aerial duel issues that he might face this week.
Yeah, he's good at them anyway, so probably beats Strand Larson still.
Yeah, but the other probably unique-ish one in there I had was Livramento and Porro, which he didn't have. Both had Milinkovic, Nunes, and Collins were the two of your uniques. Midfield-wise, we've both picked a United midfielder, but different ones. Why do you say Buemo over Fernandez?
One thing, actually, just going back as well, Munoz, I always forget he plays for Palace. So when we mentioned Palace defenders, he's probably the number one to go for because he'll still get the clean sheet. He tends to play full games, I think, and impacts forward. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
And Buemo, so I just think his ceiling's a bit higher. Fernandez playing that deeper role, he's sort of guaranteed some points, but Mbuemo, even against Grimsby, and like it is Grimsby, Buemo looked decent there. I think he'll quickly find his scoring or assistant boots, and could be a big game for him.
Yeah. So we had very similar lists, just slightly different order. You had Enzo, I had Barnes.
Yeah, Barnes isn't too far off for me either. Probably the 6th or 7th in.
Yeah, I think Enzo for me, I played him. I think I played him the first 2 weeks, and I just want to maybe watch a little bit more before I commit again. Forwards. Now, for me, I can't see myself taking Haaland off the top of this list if he's playing.
Yeah, Haaland's like always going to be in this like 5 if you sort of have to play him. Salah most weeks as well. Yeah.
Now, Richarlison, I'm actually quite big on as well this week. I'll be starting him. Wood, didn't have him either.
Just because I prefer Ndoye. I didn't include Ndoye in this 5, but Wood's one of those for us, if not more of them, are going to be good. I just prefer the Ndoye pick over the Wood pick.
And I had Watkins on mine as the 5th pick, which that's just a gut thing. I just think he's going to score. I think Villa have the potential to score goals. They just haven't yet. So I think things will shift. Do I start him? Not sure. But yeah. I haven't got Salah on the list. Just
yeah, exactly. He does well with Salah, so may as well.
Yeah. Now you've got Salah as number 1, which doesn't surprise me. Now we've talked. I didn't realize those stats that you mentioned, so he probably will move into my side after this.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't let everyone down that now goes and picks him. He's just like my standout player of the week because I like picking based off of previous information. So might come back to bite us if Villa do hold on to a clean sheet. But yeah. No, that's that. Anyone controversial in the comments? I know we've locked out, but I'm pretty sure most of you have already entered. Anyone that you think we've missed in our top 5s? Anyone that surprises you? Just hoping Buemo doesn't take penalties. Bruno should be pretty set on them.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we have a little segment that we're adding to these shows. It's a 5-a-side challenge that the 2 of us are going to do. So the rules of the challenge are each week we have to pick a 5-a-side team to compete against each other. The rules are 1 player from each position, and then we get an extra wildcard position, I guess you could call it, or we can pick anywhere. I haven't specified, but I assume we'll make it has to be an outfield player.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the other rule is that we can't pick the same player 2 weeks in a row. So that means we kind of have to be looking forward to work out when we want to play people. And
no Haaland for me next week.
So I've added a little caveat here to kind of make it a bit more interesting as well, which I haven't told you about. But the loser of the round gets to pick a player that the next week. I'm saying this terribly. The person who loses the round picks a banned player for the next week for the.
Yeah, I got you. So we're both not having Haaland next week.
Yeah. Interesting.
No. I have a habit of losing these sorts of things. So.
Yeah. No, now that I look at your side, it is much better than mine. So we'll see. But we haven't actually got an end of season punishment or prize yet. So let us know in the comments if you have any suggestions for that. Because I'd be keen to keep this going every round. We'll keep a cumulative score to see who gets ahead. But yeah, talk me through your picks. I guess we've covered most of them already through the matchups, but your side looks pretty solid.
Yeah, same with yours. Like everyone on the list has either got a good matchup or they're historically going to be decent because of one reason or the other. Which is probably going to be a trend. Obviously, we just can't select same week to week. Might be an interesting thing in future to make it we can't ever select a player again for the season afterwards.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't mind that actually. One thing with 5-a-side as well is the variance in our scores can be huge. So if we have just one player that fires and no one else, or no one fires, loser auctions their best card at 51.
I really don't want to auction my All-Star Haaland off.
Oh. Yeah, I don't really want to auction my legend essay off.
Especially now he's at Arsenal.
Yeah, true. Yeah, nice idea, Ganners, but no.
No, thank you.
Loser adds a few diamonds onto the wheel.
Oh, my diamonds are all useless, so.
And I've already added some decent diamonds on the wheel, so we'll see. But keep them coming.
Chuck, there's many suggestions in the comments because, you can always do that sort of stuff, add stuff into it.
Yeah, beautiful. So this is our sides. Obviously, we don't have much to report on yet, but next week, the idea is we'll run through how we went and then put up our next squads. But yeah, excited to see how this goes.
Sure.
Now, this is the second last part before we we spin the wheel. Got our team reveals. And talk us through your selections before.
So probably ignore the rarities for now because I'm still chopping and changing that. I'm decently set on this lineup though. So the attack, obviously Sar's up there with Haaland, two pretty much locks, given Sar's history and Haaland being Haaland. Cunha's got the good matchup. So I might drop a United player late, not sure which one. Probably favour dropping Cunha over the other two though.
Yeah.
NDI, good matchup. Hopefully Grealish assists him again. I believe he'll be on pens as well if they get one. Could be wrong though. Midfielders, two good fixtures with Bruno and Bramo. Damsgaard, another good fixture. Common theme going on, like we pointed out at the start. Jack Grealish, same thing. Good fixture. He's in form. Looking fresh again at Everton. Tarkowski, Byrne, Collins, Munoz, and Milinkovic. All decent in the air, bar Munoz. Munoz more there because I still think they'll go well against Villa, and he's got the most attack and threat of the defenders. Rest of them, accumulation of aerial points against shorter attackers and chances to score on set pieces. Probably keeping clean sheets in some of those games as well. Then you've just got Pope and Pickford. Pickford I'm so annoyed that I dropped him and Tarkowski last week after having them in week 1.
Did you say you had Pope last week?
No, I had him in week 1 and I dropped him last week.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm sort of getting him back. I think he'll continue on with the fixture they have. And I think Pope's probably one of the more selectable goalkeepers this week.
Yeah, I've matched your keepers there with Pickford and Pope. I haven't gone as heavy on Pope, but like you said, the rarities aren't locked in for you.
Yeah.
Up front, look, I'm not going to lie. I don't love my side this week. I'm just struggling around with the rarities that I have to be able to make it actually work. So Haaland is a lock. Would love an all-star one, but platinum will do. Richarlison, happy with that. Salah, kind of happy. Watkins, not super happy at the moment. Would prefer a wood, but I just don't have any to put on the field. So I'll probably be, after we get off this, jumping on the transfer market.
Talk to me after, I'll see if I have one. I'm not sure though.
Oh, you're too kind. Now I've gone Gibbs, White, and Grealish, which I think was a question, which one would you pick earlier? So I've picked both. Yep. And I've gone Bruno, Jimenez, and Damgard as well. Down back, this is the area which I don't know. I've just picked from the teams that I think will do well rather than the actual players because it's kind of hard to say. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's good as well. Like you got a fair few of the same players as me. So yeah, sort of have to like them. But like in saying that, you got Jake O'Brien given he's on the right back, so Mikalenko's not going to replace him. He's decently tall, so he's always good for some aerial duels as well. I think he's been playing most of the games in terms of most of the minutes. Who else have you got the differentiates? Romero's a good option. Captains should be locked on. Bruno Guimaraes, good pick. Should do well against Leeds. If he can scored last week, if he can do that again, he'd be great. Gibbs White, we talked about that, good selection. Watkins, like it could be the complete opposite. Like his history's not everything. They could come and smash Palace, especially if he doesn't play, and then Watkins catches form. So
yeah, I feel like my side has past the defenders is just pure risk, which can be great.
It's just around for it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many like mid to decent players name-wise that have good fixtures, so you sort of have to, what looks like risky players, pick these sorts of players rather than going for your Wirtzes, your all the other popular names, especially with Palmer out, one of the bigger names, if Palmer is out.
And great point there. No Vicario for either, even though I've just said he's my number one keeper. This just shows how much my side has changed, and my round is just up in the air at the moment. He's been in my side, but I think just the Pickford Pope selection is probably a safe bet.
I think it's good, Bowden. Like we said, the 50-50 games have brought some of the better keeper scores this season. So if he's on the right side of that with a clean sheet, he's probably going to go well. So I don't mind the pick. It's just I like to be a bit safer with my keepers because there's a very big difference that can appear if your keeper doesn't keep a clean sheet.
Yeah. So that just about wraps up all our content, apart from probably the only reason all you guys are here, which is the prize wheel. So I am going to share my screen, hopefully. And we've had 16 entries into the wheel spin.
Nice one.
So solid effort. Is that coming through for everyone? See if I can make it bigger. There we go. All right. So we're going to spin a name first, and we'll go to the board, and then we'll do a second one after that. So hopefully it's still in the chat, but if not, just watch the catch up and get in touch with us. So what have you been waiting for? First spin. Oh, bit of lag. Got the suspense. Matt P. So first pick on the, well, not pick, first spin of the board goes to Matt P. Switch wheels. Now I did this with the AFLW yesterday, so hopefully I picked the right wheel. There we go. So we'll quickly run through what is on offer here. So there's 3 bronze cards, 3 silvers, 3 golds, 3 plats, and 3 diamonds. So we've got bronze Salah, Haaland, Bruno, silver Semenyo, Gyökeres, Saka, gold Neto, Raya, Gakpo, platinum Rich Charleston, Hudson Odoi, Watkins, Diamond Wood, Aqueta, and Leno. And then we got a bunch of packs as well. So the starter bundle, 9-player of each of the tiers, not the elite. I'm not that generous. And then also on there, we have a 1-month subscription to the Stat Lab. Now, before we actually spin the wheel, I just wanted to plug the Stat Lab's Guillotine League, which if you haven't joined already, make sure you get in touch on the GameDay Squad Discord. Basically, I think there's still spots. It's was it $10 to enter, and each week the bottom player in the league gets cut, and then whoever makes it the furthest basically wins money. There's a breakdown in Discord if you haven't already seen it, but it's a great initiative by the Stat Lab, and I'm really excited for it. I think you're in it as well, aren't you, Zon?
Yeah, I might be the one that's exiting first if it's anything like my last week.
Well, I don't know. All right. So what we've been waiting for. Maddie P. Please don't be Bronze Haaland. Oh, snagged a diamond.
Get up. Predicted to start at striker this week.
That's a solid start for the wheel spin. All right, get in touch if you're on the Discord. Jump in my DMs and I'll sort you out with the trade. But well done. We'll swap back for the second person. So, I haven't removed Matt P, but you can't win again. Sorry, mate. Ben McGuinness. All right. Let's jump back in. All right. So I think, yeah, I've removed the prize. Thanks, Melissa. Melissa, everyone, shout out to Melissa for doing all the admin side of this. She's been keeping track of everyone commenting and then just sent me a DM after the lockout. So incredible work. If you guys saw the bingo as well, she was basically running that whole thing. But let's spin the wheel. What would be your preference, would you say? Oh, don't be the... That's probably the worst option on there, isn't there?
Brutal. I think I've got another set still left from last week of giveaways, so I might chuck you one to give them a double up of them.
Yeah, okay.
If you remind me after the stream.
Yeah, and then finally, I'm going to spin it for Melissa just because she's been an absolute legend. So let's just see what she gets. Hopefully something better. Wait, that's nice a good prize. A 1-month StatLab subscription. So if you guys haven't seen already, StatLab is it's a Patreon that's been run by one of the GameDay squad guys. What does he go by? Fire Breathers on Discord. Yeah. So he's huge numbers, man. He's broken down different comps, mainly NRL, but he's jumped into the AFLW, and I've heard on the grapevine that he might be getting into EPL down the track, but who knows? Well, the fact that he's running the guillotine comp is great. So he's incredible, and yeah, jump on. But that basically, that is everything. So thank you everyone for joining. It's been a big video, but it's been a good one. Any final pieces of advice?
And if not, feel free to chuck them in throughout the day tomorrow, because I'm sure we'll both be around in the Discord.
Yeah. I think my biggest fear for the round is overcommitting on Man United. And I still just can't get that out of my head.
Yeah. See how they go.
Yeah, it's probably going to be one where I just make the wrong decision either way, so who knows. But anyway, thank you very much for joining us. If you were one of those winners, jump in the DMs and I'll sort you out with your prize. But yeah, best of luck to everyone.
See you guys next time.
Yeah.